So Leo, how were your nerves for those last 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, listen, I thought that the players, they dug it incredibly well, didn't they? Like, as after when we went behind, when it was 17-12 at that stage, we were hanging in, weren't we, there for a period. So yeah, listen, we had to deal with a bit of disruption during the game. Thought we started the game very, very well. Amazing for JJ, isn't it? Like, when you think where he's come from since pre-season, when he came in and he was on a trial basis, and he's been outstanding. So he's just literally better and better. So, as I was just saying in the piece outside there, he's an amazing role model, really, isn't he, for young academy players and players that are in the system, just to stick at it, really, isn't it? So, but yeah, listen, he finished 2 tries incredibly well. And another great role model is Jerry Kerr, who's has been phenomenal as well. I think he got called in for an A game last year, and to see him come on and up against Antonio first, and obviously the Comitali later on. So 2 great stories for those guys. So, but yeah, listen, when we probably just dug in there at different stages, stayed in the game, kept fighting. And eventually took an opportunity in, and listen, fair play to Harry, stepped up and kicked the goal at the end. But again, I thought really good intent to play off some of that transition ball that we would have had, which leads to obviously Robbie's try and to Josh's tries. So they're 2 great moments, and this is off the back of a lot of positive work that the guys are doing in training consistently over the last number of weeks. So it was great to see that come off today. So yeah, like it was far from a perfect performance. I think we were started getting well. There's probably a bit of discipline that gets us in a bit of trouble, 2 yellow cards, and it's very hard to impose your game when you're down to 14 men at this level, because you're up against a good team. So, but listen, overall, to find a way at the end is probably the most pleasing bit, because we've had to do a little bit of that this year. So I think Leicester away today, even when they're 9 or 10 points down against Ulster at half time, and the bench guys had a big impact that day, try and dog out a win. And Munster, just the way that game plays out, always down there, it's you have to find a way somehow to win. So it's pleasing that we are finding a way, and the group are showing strong characteristics that it's not necessarily us imposing our game, but we're finding a way somehow. So which is good.
And Caelan, what is it about yourselves and La Rochelle? Like, it just kind of seems every single time you play against each other, there's fireworks.
Yeah, there's history there, isn't there? It's always a tightly contested game. There's a few kind of individual rivalries, and then just what's come with it over the last number of years. So there's always an extra bit of excitement when we see them on the schedule, and it's been a good week for us training-wise, and some of that transfers on the day.
I think a lot of people would say, La Rochelle had lots of chances there to score more tries, but what does the ground defence say about your team? Well, they're showing like the required character to be successful. I think is probably the big thing. So, and yeah, like so we've had to deal with plenty of disruptions and all the rest, and like it's a squad effort, isn't it, to get to this point? So, the only thing that really matters now is that if we lost the game, I'd be probably sitting here talking about getting ready for Bayonne and what can we do in terms of trying to get as many points we possibly can in next week, and that's what the players need to do. They need to recover well. The guys that are taking bangs and knocks need to make sure they get looked after, and we need to go again and put in a decent week's work, because there's been great work over this period. We know there's been chopping and changing, and we're lacking a bit of that cohesion and continuity. But listen, we'll have a few more guys back that have been nursing injuries over the last number of weeks, so they'll come back into the selection mix this week, and it's important we just have a good week, because that's the most important bit. There's amazing support out there today. We're going to Bayonne. I actually went over there with my son and father, lads trip, during November, and it's a cool ground, it really is. So we had a lovely little boys trip, and very unusual. 11-year-old, just turned 48 yesterday, and 79-year-old. So it was a great little trip that we had, but it's a great ground, and we just need to get excited about going over there and playing and putting in a big performance. When you get that off the back of turn up for Monday with the right frame of mind. So that's the most important thing now. So, yeah, thankfully we have won the game. We've got 5 points somehow. There's a lot to digest definitely of the game. But the beauty of the game was because, as we touched on beforehand, it was two teams, going at it in the right manner. It's always on the edge, isn't it? You know what I mean? But both teams have a very positive mindset to play. Some great attacking rugby from both teams. Some great scramble from both teams as well. And listen, it is a game that could have gone either way. So we're delighted that we came out on top. But listen, we need to turn the page quite quickly because next week is just a completely different challenge.
Okay, to find a way in a game like that, what do you think that will do for the players' confidence?
Hopefully it'll stand to us as we go on. Like Leo mentioned there, we've had a few tighter games, a few games we've been behind at half time. Yeah, I think the kind of togetherness we're showing out there, and there's not a whole lot of panic. It's quite calm and action focused, next moment focused. So hopefully we can take confidence and belief from that and take that into the latter stages.
What was it like in that last quarter game? Did you go behind, get in front, go behind? You don't you just mentally what living through that was like, or how you kind of approached it?
It's kind of what I referenced there. It's quite trying to stay present, trying to see what's required depending on where we are in the pitch. And it's just next moment focus. There's some good messages from Sam, Harry, James Ryan. It's all the leaders stepping up. It felt good out there.
Did it feel like you're getting better at that? Because outside perception, you may have thought Leinster didn't have that kind of situation. But as you guys said, it's a bit of a trend now. Does it feel like you're more lucid in those moments now when pressure gets?
More lucid.
More lucid, more.
Yeah, probably. I mean, over the last number of weeks, Leicester, Ulster, as Leo referenced, and today we have found a way. So yeah, we're getting practice at it. Obviously, some of that is coming from not delivering on some stuff as well as we'd like to, but equally it is good for us.
Leo, this time last year, Harry Byrne was heading off somewhere else to get rid of game time. What will that moment do for him? What does it say about him that he was able to hold his nerve and kick that goal?
Oh, that's great, isn't it? Great weights, great composure as well. So yeah, listen, it's great. The competition there is fantastic as well, isn't it? So between him and Sam, 10 and 15, they played 10 and 12 together, so they beat both at 10. So listen, it's good, and that's what the team needs ultimately, isn't it? So whatever the team needs is the most important bit. So Harry stepped in there today, 20 minutes to go, and yeah, listen, there's a kick at the end. So listen, it's great, really positive. And that's the thing about the group, everyone's just mucking in together and doing what's required to get the positive outcome, isn't it? That's the pleasing part. So yeah, they're a great group at the moment. I must say they're working hard together for each other, So, as I said, hopefully we get some good senior experience back into the mix as well. That helps just drive on the level as well over the next few weeks as well. So, because it's a full-on block of games, this, isn't it? So to come away with what's that, 7 down now, 3 to go out of this 10-game stretch. So they're full-on games, aren't they? You know what I mean? So. And yeah, Bayonne have an unbelievably strong home record. So again, and we're down to the West the week after, so there'll be a lively reception down there, I'm sure, for us. But anyway, it's Bayonne now. So anyway, Harry, did great there today. So fair play to him.
Did it have any echoes of the 2023 final and the way that Leinster exploded, and perhaps then La Rochelle really imposed themselves on you? Obviously, the key difference this time that you came back and scored.
It didn't come to my mind, which is probably a good thing.
Didn't come to my mind.
In some ways, I suppose so. But it's the final in the way that was one good thing.
But what was the difference in that you were able to come back and score those 2 tries this time? Why do you think that was? What was the difference?
Small moments just went our way. I mean, obviously, if you look at those 2 line-out deliveries I gave, the bounce the ball goes the other way. They could get the ball back, and we're sitting here with a different result. So, a little bit of good fortune, a little bit of maybe calmer, better comms from some of the leaders out there. Maybe a little bit of confidence based off having been behind and finding a way a few weeks back. Little changes there possibly.
What was the discussion ahead of the last kick?
Harry wanted it. Yeah, we were.
That's it.
Yeah.
How did you feel as you lined it up? I mean, a couple of kicks had gone astray across the game, but did you have confidence in it there now? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I felt confident.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it gives you confidence when he's coming to you with confidence.
Leo, the way you're talking, apart from the win, you seem very buoyed by the fact that you see foundations there, like the principles are there, you're talking about adding layers to that. Do you think maybe you're closer to where you want to be than the outside perception is to reference that again?
I don't really know, like the outside perception, but as in, for us as a group, yeah, we've had to deal with quite a bit of disruption this season. So early season disruption, which, yeah, listen, what's the beauty about that? We've got the likes of Jerry in, and he comes in today, does an incredible job. JJ Kenny, another one that we've got a number of games into, and he's taken his opportunity now. He's scoring tries in Champions Cup games, which is, on his Champions Cup debut today, scoring 2 tries and doing lots of really great things. Andrew Osborne, who's come on during the game as well, early in the game. Again, another very young player that are just out of the academy. So, and we've used a lot of younger guys that are accumulating experience. We've a lot of experienced guys. If the camera pans to the sideline there in terms of into the stand, the non-23. Listen, there's a ton of experience in that group, so it's getting everybody together and everyone needs to be ready. So that's the bit is pleasing. The challenge is trying to build cohesion with a group, but listen, I think that will come in time. But we just have to be able to roll with some of the punches, deal with some of the disruptions that we've had, and listen, what we've touched on is just to find a way to get the outcome that we're after. So, and we'll need to do that this week. So see how everyone is recovered and go to France and try and get a positive outcome from the game. So it's week to week at this moment in time, because the groundwork and foundation is done in terms of in this period that we're in, which is what we're talking about, the 10 games, which is a huge bulk of the season. If you think 4 Champions Cup pool games where you get your seedings obviously off the back of that, and you have 4 in the pros as well, and then you have Dragons and Edinburgh sort of bookending the block of games where your international players are going to be gone. So, and that's the bit, isn't it? So the international players are here and then they're gone again. So, but then you always have to start all over again and try and take nothing for granted, assume everybody knows nothing when they're coming back together again, and start to build it again into what we hope is knockout games at the tail end of the season. So, yeah, listen, I don't get too bogged down really. It's just making sure that we're training with the right intent and pitching up with the right characteristics. The group are building that cohesiveness together and that collective understanding of what we're trying to do. But that's just the there's never any end point to that, is there? So, but the main thing is, the right characteristics is what you want to see. And that's what the fans want to see ultimately, And listen, we need to produce what the fans want, isn't it? So, which is showing the right characteristics. We scored 8 tries here and 52 points last week, which is great because we're scoring lots of tries. But listen, if you ask the fans, which they prefer, 4 tries today, and that type of game where it's this bit of tit for tat, and when it going gets tough, guys are scrambling back. Which do they honestly want to see? You know what I mean? And I think that's the latter. They want to see that. So ultimately, we want to produce for the people that love watching the team, which is friends, family, loved ones, all the rest. In lots of people's cases. So listen, we just need to keep going after that. But it's beyond, as I said, this week, and this game's over, and it's turn the page, because listen, we know the way this is, and there's always teams coming, isn't there? We know the top 14 teams, how strong they are, how strong they're used to these types of battles on a week-to-week basis, aren't they? Particularly when they decide their target in certain games. And listen, La Rochelle target this game. We know that. So, so we need to make sure we're ready for Bayonne, who are a proud team at home. So our guys need to understand that.
Ken, was that La Rochelle performance tonight comparable to the final 3 years ago? It felt like very comparable. It threw an awful lot at you, maybe even a little bit more in terms of offloading the width and tempo and stuff.
There's definitely some commonalities there, fast start from us, them coming back, bit ill discipline, but as we've referenced a few times, is the ending and stuff.
Leo, Harry's loan spell was mentioned there, and he's obviously come back a super confident player. Is that something you'd be open to other Leinster players doing if the opportunity arose?
Yeah, there's always those conversations. Yeah. Obviously, we have a good few players that have gone on loans to different teams over the years. Yeah, so it's constantly a conversation that we would have. Yeah. Generally, obviously the province would prefer to keep the Irish players in Ireland as best as possible. So there's always different circumstances at play there. Yeah.
But it could benefit players in the way that it benefits.
Yeah, they're always looking exactly. Yeah. We're always looking at different opportunities for players. We've a sort of an academy team going over to France next week to play against Toulouse as well. So listen, all those opportunities are invaluable, really. But listen, it's important that we state as well the importance of the club game here as well, and the role that the AIL plays. Listen, I can't talk for the other provinces, but for Leinster point of view, how important that is, and that we invest everything we can in terms of, obviously you guys, in terms of coverage of the games for starters, but in terms of everything that we try to do as coaches and a club and a province in terms of players playing in the AIL. Because ideally, listen, we prefer players that are playing in the AIL because it's feeding into the system here, and make sure we make that level as strong as we possibly can. And you see that with the likes of Jerry there today. So, and with all the other academy guys as well, that will play during, if you look, different team sheets across the AL today and the different players that are playing. So it's important that that's a sort of put that in there as well.